Welcome to Modern Farm Business Podcast. This podcast is designed specifically for the farm leader who wants to bring the fundamentals of business to their farm to build a bulletproof operation. We'll dive into building your skills in the areas of leadership, finance, strategy, and much more. I'm your host, Dean Hefta. We're in our series on people on the farm. Last week, we heard from Richard Haddon on employee engagement. And this week, we're going to talk about finding great people for our team. One of the challenges we face as small business owners is finding enough of great candidates and then selecting which of them are the right fit for our team. You know, this can be a really stressful process because we know the cost of screwing it up. In working with farmers, what I've found and what we've found as an organization is the general calculation, the cost of hiring the wrong person can end up being somewhere between 1.5 to 10 times their annual salary. What it ends up costing us as a firm in morale and mistakes and damage and all of the things that come with hiring the wrong person. So obviously, that can become a very emotional and stressful thing when you think about the burden of getting the right person in place. So let's start at the beginning. First, before we get into the tactics, make sure that you're clear on the values of the farm, those things that are not negotiable, and your employee game plan from episode 5. It covers those 4 elements: need, fit, leadership, and market. Now, using all of that as a foundation, let's work through 3 phases here in this finding great people. This first phase we're going to call clarify. There's some steps here of how we clarify this role to launch us into this search process. First, what are the most important responsibilities that the person you're going to hire will take on? Now, get specific. Are they going to own the farm's equipment maintenance? Are they going to be scouting all of the weeds? Are they in charge of grain drying and grain condition? These will not only help you get yourself clearer on what they'll contribute to the farm, but this is going to drive your communication and your expectation setting for that new employee. Now, how do you expect those duties to be performed? This really gets into the attributes of the person you're looking for. Do you want them to go about their work in a deliberate, meticulous manner? Would you like them to be very organized? If so, these are really different characteristics from someone that you might want that is all action, and someone that you'd want in a position where you'd rather have them get 10 things done quickly and have to redo 4 of them than having someone that's always preparing. This gets you thinking not only about the responsibilities of the role, but the culture of your farm. Does this person need people skills? Are they going to be asked to set the pace of work for other people? Maybe their work needs to be really accurate. You get the picture. We're looking for that how the work gets done. And that comes with the person that we bring onto the team. Next, let's distill all this down. Take your responsibilities list, all the things that you said they're going to be responsible for, and I want you to will it down to the 5 most important contributions they're going to make to the farm. So instead of be able to operate farm equipment, you make it responsible for the safe and effective operation of all farm equipment. So you're getting more specific and clear about what they're going to contribute. Then I want you to tackle those attributes, that how things are going to get done. I want you to get down to 3. What are those critical few things? I want you to really decide what's really important in this person we're going to bring on. We got to get those critical few things in the role. Because if we don't, what we find is that we begin having this expectation of looking for Superman. We want one candidate to be able to do it all. We want them to be punctual and hardworking and fast-paced and detail-oriented and able to adjust quickly to different changing priorities, and a team player and works well alone, and they enjoy physical labor and they're technologically savvy and they have a positive attitude. And we can build this list of 30 things that we want them to have, and we will never find that person. That's why we have to figure out what are the things they must have. Now, finally, I want you to look for features of the role. These are the upsides, the things that could be attractive for people. Now, there might be things, and you might be thinking this role is not something that you would be attracted to, but you're not looking to hire you. You're looking to hire someone that will be attracted to the role. What are those things that make your operation unique? What are those unique things about the role that it can be attractive? This is more than just pay. It could be things like the type of equipment that you run and that they would be responsible for operating. It could be the environment. Maybe you have a very cohesive and team and supportive environment. Maybe it's the opportunity that they have to grow their technology skills, or maybe the fact that they get to work with their hands and every day is a little bit different. For some people, this could be very attractive, especially if maybe today they're working inside in a factory with every day being monotonous. They want some variety. So sell that. Share that this is something that is great about this role. You should have something that is really clear and really straightforward so you can build a message around what you're looking for in that great person. So that is the clarify phase. We want to clarify what it is and who we're looking for. Now, we need to get the word out. This is about communicating. The more people that you have that you can select from, the better you're going to feel about the selection you do make, and the higher the odds are that the person is right. There are a couple of paths that I want to touch on in this piece. We're going to call it the active path and the passive path. First is the active path. This is where you, the leader, is proactively getting the word out on who you're looking for. Now, you can take a moment here and do some brainstorming on paper about what does your network look like? Who are the people that you can get word out? This is not who could you go hire. They might be on this list, but it's also who in your network can you get the word out to? This could be your lender. This could be your current employees, specifically if they're good employees and you want more like them. Communicate to them and encourage them to get to their network. It could be your fertilizer guy, your machinery salesperson, your seed dealer. Maybe it's even some pastors in your town that know the network and know people. Don't be afraid to step outside your immediate agricultural network. Could be the parts guy in town. Now, when you're doing active recruiting, I want you to learn the phrases, who do you know? And the phrase, where might I find? So, when we tell people we're looking for an employee and we're sharing how we're excited about what this means to our farm and the type of person we're looking for, it can be pretty easy to say, I'm looking for an employee. Do you know anyone? And their response might be, no, I don't know anybody that's looking for a job. And so that stops you. You can't continue. Now, what I want you to do is shift the approach a bit when you're talking with your network. I want you to shift it to, hey, I'm looking for someone that, fill in the blank here. I'm looking for someone that enjoys working outside, likes learning new things, and is a responsible person. They primarily would be responsible for technology on our farm, but they really don't need a lot of previous experience. I'm looking for someone that's excited about learning those types of things and will grow with our farm. Who do you know that would fit that description? You see, I didn't ask them if they knew anybody looking for a job. I'm just asking if they know somebody that fits that description, because I want to know who is out there, and we can present the opportunity to that person and let them choose if they want to explore it or not. And when I get to that person, if they're not right or they don't want to pursue it, they might know somebody else like them. So I can also ask my network, where might I find someone like blank? So I have my description. I describe what it is that I'm looking for, the attributes and the responsibilities. And I say, where might I find someone like that? So it gets their brain thinking differently than what they're used to. It forces them to try to answer the question. So you're getting some direction, and they can get you on a path down that network to find different places where you can be turning rocks over, looking for candidates that maybe you haven't previously thought of. As a leader, for building a great team, we have to be proactive about building that team. It's part of our role. Now, here's the other side on the recruiting piece of this, and that is the passive approach. This is about posting your ad in areas that candidates might be looking. Now, the risk is we're more prone to maybe finding the best of the unemployed because they're seeking jobs. Your most talented people aren't on the hunt for a new opportunity. That's why the proactive recruiting is so powerful. But passive is an important element of this as well. So your ad should speak not only to the candidate, but also to people who might know the candidate. An ad should be simple and attract the kind of people you're looking for. You can use online resources like Craigslist, Facebook, Indeed.com, different sites like that. Or your community might have local papers with good readership that you can place an ad economically on. Maybe there are some bulletin boards in your community that you can get your word out of what you're looking for. And again, that ad should differentiate you of what are those attractive things about the role? What are those things this role is going to contribute? Just remember, be simple, be clear, be attractive. You're not just trying to turn the head of the candidate. You're trying to connect with people that might know that person you're looking for. That could be a wife, a brother, a neighbor, or a friend. You want to get them saying, ooh, I know somebody that would be a good candidate for this. So that was the communicate phase. We have to get the word out. The next stage is being ready and knowing what you're going to do when you get a candidate that raises their hand. You need to have some level of process worked out before you start. This reduces the headache that we run into when we're trying to decide what to do when someone applies for a job. You're trying to figure out, are they the right fit? What should I do next? Should I have somebody else talk to them? That can be very stressful as a hiring manager to try to figure it out as you're going. So this is what we call selection. And in this selection phase, I would encourage everybody to have, at the very least, a basic application. So when they call or want to apply, I have something for them to do. This is a screening process in itself, that it's not uncommon that people raise their hand, want to learn more about the job. You say, step one, fill this application out, and you'll have people not respond after that phase. That keeps you from doing too much work with people that aren't truly interested. Also, have a process, a format where you can really dig in an interview with them on understanding what kind of culture fit they're going to be, seeing what their interests are, understanding their work history and things that they're good at and that they get excited about. That's important. There's some tools that can help make that simpler. You also should have a reference approach, how to talk to people that know them. That can be people that have worked alongside them. It can be people that they have worked for, previous managers. I like those better than talking to their cousin who's going to give them a glowing review, things like that. So people that have experienced them in a work setting previously. And I have the candidate set that conversation up. And ultimately, you just want to get a handle on how are they going to fit this role and this culture. We also then want a worked out approach for how are we going to make an offer and establish expectations. Now, this whole selection piece of the process could be a 12-week series in itself on here. But at its essence, what I want you to focus on in your process is the question, what do I need to know about this person to know if they're going to succeed? There's lots of ways you can get that picture painted. As a company, we use various assessments, spend casual time together, formal interviews, various tools to really get that picture of the future as clear as possible. Now, I don't want you to get too hung up on doing the process perfectly. I want you to focus on that question. How do I figure out how this person might succeed or might not succeed in what I'm asking them to do? So, quick review. First, lay out your foundation, your values. Use the employee game plan from episode 5. Next, clarify the specific responsibilities, attributes, and features of the role. That was the clarify phase. Now, get the word out through your channels, both passively and actively. This is about communicating. You can have the best role in the world, but people need to know about it. Finally is your process for sorting the wheat from the chaff. Have a simple approach for consistently working to understand how this candidate might or might not succeed in what you're asking them to do. Now, we covered a lot of ground and there's pieces we didn't touch yet. But if you would like 30 minutes of personal coaching with me on this topic, for listeners of this podcast, just email dean@modernfarmbusiness.com with people in the subject line. Love to work you through some of the tools that are out there for improving your process and talk through that. I'd love to help. Thanks again for joining us this week. Next week, I'm having our human resources professional, Andrea Majors, cover some of the need to know and nice to know points that are really relevant for any small business owner. Remember to tell a friend about Modern Farm Business Podcast, subscribe where you get your podcasts, and leave us a review. Again, if you'd like to talk through these topics more and have a personal session, just email me, dean@modernfarmbusiness.com, put people in the subject line. I'm your host, Dean Hefta, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks.